The Motif of Waves by Zoe Rodriguez-Willie and Carly Nathanson.
The motif of waves in Annie Dillard's For the Time Being depicts how the structure of society evolves and how God's possible role is revealed in this process. The image of a wave and the effects it has on nature around us is a metaphorical example of God's role. In the subsection Sand on page 67, Dillard describes fast-paced currents knocking the earth and causing it to break off into sand grains, similarly to how God builds a path for us to follow and shapes our lives without arbitrarily managing our actions. This comparison is really powerful because it provides an image that directly explains God's actions. Even though He is not physically present and guiding our actions, His influence is helping to shape our lives like waves will shape and smooth rocks. In addition to this metaphorical explanation, the subsection Numbers, specifically page 157, describes the recurring event of seismic waves killing thousands. This is God's tangible way of maintaining control on earth. This image alludes to the original biblical story of Noah's Ark, with God using water for mass destruction. In the story, God flooded the earth in response to society's transitioning to evil, but after the rain subsided, He created a rainbow as a promise to never destroy earth again. Even though tsunamis and mass destruction still occur today, they have never been at the magnitude of the original flood, thus inferring that even though God allows us to suffer, it is His way of highlighting our negative actions and provoking change without necessarily telling us to do so.
On page 118 in the subsection Now, Dillard wrote, "Our generations rise and break like the foam on shores." Dillard compares the formation of waves in the ocean to new generations of society. Although new waves are always forming, all waves consist of the same body of water and return to the ocean again to make new waves time and time again. This correlates with humankind because all people consist of the same roots because they are creations of God. Even though there are new waves of generations that enter society over the years, in the grand scheme of things, each generation is the same and contain the same general foundations, just as the waves that rise and break on shore. Page 204, also in the subsection Now, Dillard wrote, "Waves of new generations appear in bundles on counters." Although Dillard is not directly referring to physical ocean waves, the waves mentioned serve the same purpose of groups of new generations of humans. The bundles mentioned refer to newborns that are born, bundled up, then placed on counters in the hospital by nurses. This correlates with the waves in the ocean as they are the new wave of society that arise after the waves of generations before them have died. This goes along with the motif that the human race will always continue to replace the generation before it. However, there is little difference between the generations, as everyone is derived from God and have little differences in individuality.
Conclusively, Annie Dillard implements the motif of waves in order to bring attention to how society changes through the years and how God's influence may be involved in this process. Waves crashing on the shore carry sand grains from coast to coast and mold rocks until they are practically perfect and smooth. Applying this to society, it can be said that God acts as the wave and society are the rocks that He continuously smooths until we reach our full potential. Even though He is not physically here on earth to guide us, He is always present in theory and helping us to develop our future. Whether or not an individual supports the theory of evolution or the religious story of creation, it is undeniable that evolution does take place. Each new generation possesses a unique set of qualities that alter the image of Earth. This process mimics the image of a wave because, like the water that is pulled back into sea and then makes its way back to shore is what seems like new water, the same DNA and composition of humans makes up each new era of society but with slight differences in mindset.